Hi, I'm Marla McCowan, Deputy Director of the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission. On behalf of the MIDC staff, thanks for taking a few minutes to go over what's new for reporting in fiscal year 2023, a few reminders, and hopefully some helpful information for new and returning report submitters. All reporting is done online through our grant management system called EGrAMS. The website address is here at the bottom of the screen. You can also get it from our grants page on our website, which is www.michiganidc.gov. You know you're in the right place if you see the MIDC's logo in the top corner of the screen when you log in. You should also see the MIDC's help desk contact information, which will get you directly to Deborah Mitchell if you need any assistance with the program. If you're a new user for EGrAMS, you're going to need to create an account. It takes just a couple of minutes to do this. Once you have an account, though, you're also going to separately need to have specific credentials associated with your profile so that you can view information about the system, enter data, submit reports. This all depends on the role that you're assigned. If you're a judge or a court employee, you can be assigned a limited role for entering data during the reporting cycle, but you will not have any ability to actually submit reports. So just check with your project director after you set up your credentials, and then also after you enter any information into the program so that the report can be finalized and submitted by the funding unit. Just a quick note here, a lot of people have various roles in EGrAMS. For example, if you're the project director, but you're also the person who signs the contract for the funding unit, we needed to temporarily assign the authorized official role for that purpose. So for reporting now, if you are having any trouble, we might need to go back in and reassign you as the project director for submitting any of the quarterly reporting that's due. The reports are due on the date that is described in the contract between the MIDC and the funding unit. You can find these dates that are listed here on the screen in the FY23 contract. It's around page 5 of the document. There is one additional report that's due at the end of the fiscal year that covers the unexpended balance of funds in the account used for indigent defense in your system. That report is due with the final financial status report on October 31st. We're not covering that report in this training. Check our website if you need any information about compliance reporting for more information. I know a couple of people like to take a peek at the contract itself from time to time. You can view that within EGrAMS. After you log into EGrAMS with your credentials, you'll get to your home screen, navigate to that project director tab, and then choose application status from the menu. When you fill out the grant program line from the lookup menu and then hit find, you should be able to view the contract from there. So again, use the project director, that menu there, and then you should eventually, after you populate the information about the grant program, be able to click on the button there that says view contract. If you're taking a look around the details of the reporting schedule, that section of the contract itself also covers the payment distribution schedule for our grant model. When you're logged into EGrAMS, you can also check on the funds that have been distributed to date. So again, you're going to start here from that reporting tab, then choose payment status from the menu, fill out the grant program line from the lookup menu, and then hit find. And you can view the payments that are made to date. If you see over there, I highlighted here this little rectangular box of pending payments. There's a plus or minus tab. It defaults to plus. If you click on that, it'll give you additional detail there. You can see the dates that the payments were made. You might also want to take a peek at the compliance plan before you start entering any reporting information. This is a pretty popular question. We get this from time to time. You can do that on your own whenever you want to, right through EGrAMS itself. You're going to start at the grant application tab, then choose print submit from the drop-down menu and click on the status to view the plan and the cost analysis. The menu is going to default to display open grants. Most of you will just have that FY23 compliance plan. If for whatever reason you're still completing some reporting, you might also see the CPA 22 or the compliance plan application from fiscal year 2022. In this instance, the FY22 plan is still open. You can also always toggle over to instead of open on the status to all, and you can see any of those applications, the plan and cost analysis that are in final form and submitted to EGrAMS and approved by our commission at any time. You'll click on the status there where it says contract signed by grantee, open up the plan and review all of the details of the plans and costs that were approved by the commission. Moving on to reporting itself, when you log into EGrAMS, you're going to land on this welcome screen. You're going to see you don't have any pending tasks until you start to work on the reporting that is due. So start with the reporting tab from the menu and choose progress reports. The default tab will be for the progress reports after you land here. There's another one that's grayed out. It says budget. You don't have to do anything with that. Working through the progress reports tab, use the lookup menu here. That's the little 3 dots. Sometimes we talk about that. That's the lookup menu, and select the CPA 23 report to populate that line. You're going to want to go under the status bar to pending reports and click on find to have it display all of the reports that are pending for you to submit. Up to 3 reports will be available to you for submission, depending on your specific role or the credentials within your funding unit. This is a project director's menu, so it's going to have all 3 reports that are due: the attorney list, the financial status report, and the quarterly program report. So the purpose of this session is not to go over every detail about submitting all of these reports. We just wanted to highlight what's new for fiscal year 2023. You can review prior trainings for full details about reporting anytime on our website, on our grants page, or on our YouTube channel. I'm going to start with, you'll see over here on the status, any of these pending reports. Again, we've got the attorney list, financial status, quarterly program report. I'm going to start with the attorney list. So I'm going to click on the status itself to open up the report and work my way through entering the information about the attorneys providing services in my system. This is my display screen, so it might be slightly different when you open the report, but the new feature I want to highlight here is the field for designating an attorney as active or inactive in this particular reporting period. The active or inactive designation would be in lieu of, or instead of deleting an attorney from your roster. You might delete somebody because they moved, or they changed their area of practice, something like that. This new designation of active or inactive, particularly in this first quarter of reporting, will help us as we're trying to audit for compliance with MIDC Standard 1, requiring annual continuing legal education for assigned counsel. So you can choose inactive, that inactive designation, for any reason, including maybe an attorney's on an extended vacation, maybe they're on maternity leave, or for whatever reason, they're just temporarily not taking assignments. But if they're not taking assignments, specifically because their CLE has not been met, you might want to just put them inactive here until their CLE is met for 2023, rather than deleting them and then adding them back in the next quarter of reporting. So if you have any questions about that, you can go ahead and you can give us a call if you want to. You can refer to our website on the CLE page for more information about compliance with that standard. But this is something that is really going to help us, again, as we're auditing reports and as our list that we collect in EGrAMS is sent over to CE Broker to match up with our roster of attorneys. We're trying to get a good snapshot of all of the active attorneys and compliance with Standard 1. So hopefully this will help. As you work your way through these reports, be sure to save your information and close the report when you're done. You're going to return to this main reporting page, and now you have the option to submit the report, which you'll do by clicking that button in that submit column that's over there on the right, and then you would click OK. You can submit, each report as it's completed, or you can close and return anytime to make changes to any of these reports prior to submitting. Moving on to the financial status report, one new feature and a couple of reminders. Many funding units have an approved line item in their compliance plan for indirect costs. This functions as a percentage of the actual personnel and fringe benefits total from the cost analysis. So as you enter your quarterly spending on personnel and fringe benefits, you're going to enter up to 10% of that amount for indirect costs. No other documentation is required for that particular line item. For every other line item, this is the reminders part. For every other line item, when you have expenses for the quarter, you do need to attach supporting documentation that ties to the expenses claimed. The attachments can be in any size, any file format, but you are limited to 5 separate documents or line items there. So if you've had more than 5 documents, say for example, for attorneys, if you have multiple invoices from attorneys, all of those should be combined into a single file and uploaded on one line with a descriptive title like attorney invoices all, something like that. Starting this year, also in terms of documentation, invoices for managed assigned counsel work that's billed at hourly rates needs to include details related to the work performed. Time's going to need to be tracked for these administrative functions and reported on invoices, or they're going to be sent back for revisions. We have some samples available on our website if you want to see what a sample detailed invoice looks like. You can either reach out to your regional manager or check our website again, or we also have a quick fact sheet about what's new, and we've got like a quick link there too that you can see a sample managed assigned counsel billing invoice. After you submit your reports, you can return anytime in EGrAMS to check the status, to confirm submission, to check if they were approved. This is the same place where you locate your pending reports under reporting and in the progress reports menu. You can toggle between submitted or approved, just change the status and then click on find to see the stage that the report is in. If corrections are requested, those are going to be in your pending tasks and they should come with reviewer's notes. Give us a call anytime if you need any assistance with resubmitting or if you have any questions or concerns. I'm going to have our research director, Dr. Jonah Siegel, walk through the changes to the quarterly program report. Now, we've made several modifications there, and he's going to explain those in detail.
Hi, welcome to the quarterly program report portion of our FY23 training. Today, I'll be covering key components of the program reports with particular attention to data points that have changed between the FY22 reports and the FY23 reports. For details on how to answer specific questions, please refer to our compliance reporting instructions, which have been updated as of January 2023. I'll start with a summary of key changes to the FY23 program report. The FY23 program report has a simplified structure that only requires users to answer certain questions once for your entire system, rather than multiple times across tabs. We've also eliminated all of the circuit court arraignment questions. We have added several new questions that address new standards and other best practices. We have revised the final 3 questions on the district court form. And there are also minor revisions to wording throughout the reporting template that help to clarify the precise data points that are being requested. So first, to open your program report in EGrAMS, you're going to go to the reporting tab of your EGrAMS screen, which you can see up top on this slide. And then you're going to click on progress reports. From there, you can fill in your information on the next screen, which you can see at the bottom here, which will include the fiscal year, the name of your system, and the report you're looking for, which in this case would be the quarterly program report. Once you open your report, you will see at least 3 tabs. The first tab is called Reporting Information. The second tab is new and is just called System. This is your system-wide information. And then you'll see 1 tab for each court in your system. And lastly, a final questions tab, which is where users can enter any additional information that's relevant. So I'm going to walk through each of the tabs now. The first tab, the reporting tab, is very similar as the first tab from FY22. You'll recognize it when you open it up. Most of the information on this form should auto-populate. This tab no longer asks about changes to the attorney roster, so that has been moved to a new tab. I'll get to that later. And make sure to check the box next to every court in your system. This is what allows you to submit data for that court. So as you check those boxes, that's what will fill in the tabs, the court-specific tabs as you go. So most of you will recognize this. This is the top of that reporting tab once you open it. The second tab, again, is called the System tab. This is a new tab as of FY23. This tab allows users to answer questions once for the entire system rather than answering questions for each court. There are some wording changes to this tab and the questions on it, but we're not asking for any new information on here. So everything on these tabs should look very familiar. And I will walk through them. I'm not going to read every question, but I will leave the slide up for a moment, and I will also just quickly discuss the changes. So question 1 used to be asked on the reporting tab and is now asked here on the system tab. And that's the question about changes to your roster of attorneys. Questions 2 through 4 used to be asked for each court. And again, now they are consolidated here on the system tab. That's about the person or people who are assigning cases, who they work for, and whether or not they report to the court. So in FY23, we are asking this set of questions once for the entire system rather than by court. Questions 5 and 6 used to be asked for each court again, and now in FY23, we are asking them once and requiring users to identify the relevant courts in response if the answer is yes. So question 5 is the question that you'll remember from last year about if there are ever instances in which a judge or court employee assigns or schedules cases to an attorney. And then again, if yes, then question 6, you'll give information on the relevant courts, how those appointments are made, and what's happening. Finally, our 7th question here is whether the system is checking invoices or other documentation to confirm that all attorneys are complying with Standard 2's initial interview requirements. This is a new question as of FY23. Users will only need to provide a yes or no answer here, no specific numbers. Questions 8 and 9 are about investigators and experts. These questions used to be asked for each court on each court tab. In FY23, we are now asking users to report system totals rather than a breakdown by court. For many of your systems, this will be a little bit more intuitive. And if you have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to reach out. And finally, our last 2 questions are about counsel at first appearance. So again, these questions used to be asked for each court. And in FY23, we are asking them only once and requiring users to identify the relevant courts in response if the answer is no. So the first question is counsel at first appearance now being provided in 100% of arraignments. This should include all PV and PPO violation arraignments in both circuit court and district courts. So if the answer is no there, then question 11 will open up and you can fill out the detail on which courts are still struggling with Standard 4. And that is going to be the end of the system tab. Now I'm going to move on to court level tabs. Again, you will see one tab open up for each of the courts in your system. Each tab will have a section of questions for circuit court and a section of questions for district court, but you'll only be able to answer the questions for the correct court type. So what I mean is when you open up your circuit court form, and I'll show you right here, when you open up your circuit court form, you will see these first 4 questions pop up, and you'll see a section, it's called section A. For circuit courts, after you complete these 4 questions, you'll see grayed out district court questions below. You'll just scroll right on past them. And same thing when you open your district court tab, you'll see these circuit court questions grayed out. You'll just scroll right on past them. So for circuit courts, there's one big important change here, which is that arraignment questions have been eliminated for circuit courts in FY23. And when I say arraignment information, I mean the specific details where you're providing numbers. So what remains is 4 questions that I will walk through quickly. Questions 1 and 2 are the same as FY22. So you're going to first report the total number of new filings, and then the number of those that are handled by an appointed attorney at any point in the case. So again, the second question is a subset of the first question. So the second answer should always be either smaller or equal to the first answer. Still on the circuit court tab, we have questions 3 and 4, which are both new as of FY23. Question 3 asks, how many requests for appointed counsel were denied during this reporting period? This may require a new data collection process in your system. We will ask if you are reporting by case or by defendant. We prefer that you report by case, but also know that as this is a new question, it will take some time to get implemented correctly. The 4th question is also new. Do any of the judges in your court seek reimbursement for attorney fees at sentencing or the conclusion of the case? This is also a yes/no question. And then moving on to district and municipal court tabs. These questions have been reorganized for FY23. One new component is that users must now explain uncategorized arraignments, and I'll get to that in a moment. There are also new questions on dispositions of arraignment, denial of counsel, and judges ordering reimbursement. Some of those will look familiar from the circuit court tab. And then we've also consolidated the pre-arraignment resolution questions. I'm going to walk through each of those now. So question number 1 is the same as it was in FY22. What was the total number of new adult criminal cases filed in this court in the reporting period? Questions 2A through 2F ask for data on district and municipal court arraignments. You will recognize these questions from FY22. They are the same questions. And if you need more detail on how to answer these questions, you can see the MIDC's updated compliance reporting instructions. The only part of this that is new in FY23 is if you report any arraignments that are not captured in any of the above categories, so that's the other category, you will now be required to provide more information about these arraignments. This is a chart that I hope will be helpful in categorizing arraignments into the right category. This chart is in the updated compliance reporting instructions. You can find it there. So as you're trying to sort arraignments into each of the appropriate categories, you can see here when they should fall where. So 2A is retained counsel at arraignments, 2B, appointed counsel at arraignments, 2C is in pro per, 2D is absent, and then 2E is other. 2F is also the explanation of other. And so, if you're wondering where to categorize an arraignment, you can look at this chart, and I hope that it will be helpful. Some courts have unique circumstances, and you can also always reach out and ask us about how to categorize something. So moving on from the arraignment questions, question 3 is a new question in FY23. And the question is, of the cases that you arraigned this reporting period, so that would be of the cases in number 2, the total, how many cases had a final disposition at arraignment? Again, this should reflect the number of cases and not the number of clients or defendants. If you need help figuring out how to capture this in your case management system, and by your case management system, I mean the court, if you need help figuring out how to capture that, we are more than happy to help. We do have also specific instructions for how to capture this in JIS courts. Moving on to question 4. This question is the same as FY22, but it has been moved to a new section this year. And the question asks, of all of the new filings this reporting period, so that's your answer to number 1 in this section, how many qualified and were handled, how many qualified for and were handled by an assigned attorney following arraignment? Again, this should reflect the number of cases and not the number of clients or defendants. Questions 5 and 6 are also new as of FY23. These mirror questions number 3 and 4 in circuit court. So if you've watched the whole video, they will sound familiar. Question 5 asks about requests for appointed counsel that were denied. And question 6 is that same question about whether any of the judges in your court seek reimbursement for attorney fees at sentencing or the conclusion of the case. And the final set of questions for district and municipal courts are similar to questions that were asked in FY22, but they've been consolidated. So the first question is to please report the total number of cases that were resolved before arraignment through any of the following. Please by mail, please taken at the counter, please entered through an online system, or any other form of resolution pre-arraignment, meaning they never went before a judge or a magistrate. In FY22, we had some version of those questions asking about pleas by mail and at the counter. We have expanded it now to include a lot more scenarios. And then the second part of that question is how many of those cases receive the assistance of counsel? That answer might be 0, and it might not be 0, depending on different practices in your system. And we have eliminated the question on waived arraignments. That brings us to the end of our webinar. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. You can reach out directly to me, Jonah Siegel, I'm the research director, and you can also reach out to Neil Weinberg, our research analyst. We are always happy to talk about specific scenarios that might occur in your court or just answer questions generally. Thank you so much.
We're here to help. If you need EGrAMS support, feel free to reach out to Deborah Mitchell at the contact information on our EGrAMS website. You can also check our website at www.michiganidc.gov on our grants page for information about compliance plans, reporting, and more.